Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast. Here to bring you the latest and greatest gaming news of the week. This is episode number 304, and I am your host, Sean Hayes. Nintendo Direct is the name of the game this week. So that is where the bulk of our news will be coming from. I'm excited. I'm always excited for a Nintendo Direct week. But then, not to be outdone, Wizards of the Coast was also doing preview videos for the Player's Handbook. So I had to make a decision. So this week will be mostly Nintendo Direct, and then a little bit of that. I didn't include everything in the Direct because, I don't want this to be like an hour and a half long episode. And then there was also some other gaming news too, like Xbox will be at Gamescom. This will be the first Gamescom that Blizzard will be there as part of the Xbox umbrella. And Nintendo and Sony won't be at Gamescom. So, that's a thing. It does make me wonder if things like Gamescom will take the place of E3, where that's where like a lot of the big announcements will come. Although Xbox did have a showcase too, so I don't know. But yeah, so if you are not interested in Nintendo games or the Nintendo Switch or whatever, might be a bit of a dud episode for you. This will be very Nintendo Direct focused. As I said, a couple things. I'm not going to mention all of the games that were announced, but a lot of great JRPGs, either from Square or Square adjacent, were announced, including like the Dragon Warrior 2D HD remakes. Those look great. And like the sprite work looks great. I like the sprite work better than the backgrounds. Backgrounds are like, yeah, okay, it's they did doing the 3D thing or whatever. Like it's not like it the characters do the same stuff that like Octopath Traveler's doing, but like the backgrounds aren't. So there's a little bit of a disconnect there for me. But I mean, those games look great. I need to figure out what the difference is between Dragon Quest and Dragon Warrior. Is there a difference? Was it a localization? Like, is Dragon Warrior just Dragon Quest? Because they look the same? Or if Dragon Warrior was just like a GBA port or a Game Boy port of Dragon Quest. I don't know. But yeah, they look great. Classic JRPG. Like, I don't know if you can get any more classic than Dragon Quest / Dragon Warrior. Maybe Final Fantasy, but like, yeah. So yeah, and then there a Phoenix Wright collection. So but yeah. Mostly I'm going to focus on the stuff that I'm really interested in because it's my podcast and that's how it's going to work. So, yeah. So why don't we get right into it and get talking about these games, shall we? All right, so first up, Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. I don't think this was on anybody's radar. But this will be available January 16th and include bonus content from the 3DS version. Yeah, it's kind of like, it's a weird sort of bookend of the Switch kind of launched with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze HD with added funky mode. And then like towards the end of its lifespan, it's getting Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. But Game is a little unusual in that, like, this was the first sort of side-scrolling Donkey Kong where we don't have Kremlings. They switched it over to like a tiki thing. Um, you know, I think they could have just stuck with Kremlings, but I don't know if this was if Retro wanted to put its own spin on things and not wanna like do something different from Rare. Um, but I mean, the music's great, the gameplay's great. This is a welcome addition. Um, so oddly enough, I don't know who worked on this. I don't know if it's an actual remake or if it's just like an HD or whatever. But I don't know what development studio. I can't imagine that it's Retro since they're working on Metroid Prime 4. Um, or maybe they were, and that's why they were working on both, and that's why we didn't hear anything about Prime 4. Uh, I don't know. I'm looking forward to this. I loved the first one. Um, and the music's so good. Like, Retro did such a great job at taking a lot of really classic hits from the Donkey Kong series and like taking a fresh spin on them. In particular, like the Fear Factory, and there's like a bunch of levels that use like the old Fear Factory music that like then incorporate the percussion into the level itself. It's like one of the best levels in the game for me. And it's just so good. So yeah, I'm excited. This was not on my radar. So yeah. And Donkey Kong's such a great, like, it is a great platforming series. And it's like a bit more technical than Mario platformers because you've got like a whole lot of like mechanics that have been in the series for like minecart levels and stuff like that really make you work for it. Like just to get through the game. And then there's the aspect of like collectibles. So yeah, I'm excited. I didn't play the 3DS version, so I've never played the bonus content, but I'm looking forward to that. So next up, I mentioned it in the intro, Wizards of the Coast has revealed content from the upcoming 2024 Players Handbook. They're doing a video series, which they did an overview video covering sort of character options, weapon mastery, but they also did separate videos for changes to the fighter, the paladin, and the barbarian. Overall, I think at least for those three classes, a lot of the changes have been positively received. It sounds like there has been a lot of thought put into things. More videos are coming next week. I know the Rogue and the Rogue Ranger and Druid are in there. There's a bunch of other classes. They're doing like at least one video a day. So we'll be getting at least 5 more class previews. I know the Ranger's in there. That was the one that I was looking forward to. But yeah, so and if you don't want to sit through a YouTube video that talks about these, D&D Beyond also puts up a written, like once the video goes live, D&D Beyond also has a written overview, which I appreciate because sometimes I don't want to sit through a 25-minute video for something that I can quickly skim. And they do break it down, like they talk about, like they do, written text of what the changes are, and then also like a table as well. Of note, for whatever reason, these articles are not playing nicely on mobile, depending on where you access it from. So go to the site directly for, we'll call it the best mobile viewing experience. It's still not great. You have to put your phone in landscape mode to get the full table. I think that's just, I don't know if tables work with responsive design, and that may be why the site breaks. But if you try and access it through like if you click on a Facebook link to that article, like it won't like if you rotate your phone, it won't rotate at all. Um so and that's been the case for like all of these articles that have come out. So just keep that in mind. But one thing to note is they only put the actual changes. So if you don't see a feature in there, it means it has not changed from the 2014 version of the class. Okay? They do spell that out. I have seen so many comments of people asking what happened to this feature. And the answer is if it's not in that article, then that means nothing has happened to it. It just functions as is. Or there's like a minor, very minor tweaks to it. So, but yeah, yeah. The big thing with fighter is weapon mastery, and class features that use second wind as a resource, and you will get more uses of second wind. Paladin is basically Divine Smite gets a nerf, but everything else gets a buff. So Divine Smite you can only do once per round because it requires a bonus action. But everything else has had like their action requirement removed. And auras have been tweaked. So and Barbarian, Brutal Strike, the Brutal Strike mechanic where you can forego advantage when going reckless to get benefits. One fiddly thing is if you could then get advantage from a different source. So like if you end up like dual wielding hand axes or something like that, you could then still get advantage, take advantage of brutal strikes. So it does get a little fiddly with that. But all in all, good move for the barbarian. And yeah, we'll see what stuff's coming this week with all of the different class previews. Yeah, I know Druid, they said they went back to how it currently works, which is a huge disappointment for me. And I think is a bad move. But there was enough community pushback. So I don't know. People are weird. I don't know why you want to sit there and have to comb through dozens of stat blocks. Like, blah. And it also, Druid is the least played class, partially because of that. So, yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, more videos coming this week. So be on the lookout for that. And those are just right up on the Dungeons & Dragons YouTube channel. So, possibly one of the most exciting things to come out of the Nintendo Direct is The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. This is so the latest entry is going back to 2D Zelda, 2D top-down Zelda. This uses the Link's Awakening. I forget if it Link's Awakening Redux or Remake or whatever engine. So it looks like little toy figures. But this time, in the opening trailer, they show Link fighting Ganon. Final fight and everything. He defeats Ganon, but then Ganon opens a portal to some sort of nether dimension, and it sucks Link in. So now, the hero is gone, and it's time for Zelda to save the day. I'm stoked. I'm so stoked. And the way Zelda plays in this game is you get a magic staff, magic wand, that lets you create echoes of objects or creatures. So like you can get an echo of like a crate or a bed or a barrel, potted plant, and then basically place them in the world to solve puzzles. Or You can, create an echo of a rock, and you can just summon rocks to throw at monsters, or do other thing. Like, a lot of people were complaining about how, this Zelda, like, she doesn't do combat, blah blah blah, or whatever. Number one, there are ways to, like, you can go through an adventure without having to just be a warrior, right? Uh, and like, basically, people wanted, or if they wanted Zelda to be like a spellcaster, which in their mind means that she throws fireballs and ice bolts and things like that. There's so many more creative things that you can do. And it shocks me that, like, we are just coming off of Tears of the Kingdom, which is to use cooking pots to build tanks, right? Like one of the most creative Zelda games that has been made, of all the different things that you can do. And it's kind of disappointing that the community seems to just go back to, I want to, that problem solving just boils down to, how do I hit things with a stick better? That's disappointing. But anyway, to get away from that, you can also capture like a defeated monster to then create echoes of it as, a little bit of like a Pokemon thing going on. I'm super excited. This will be for a mainline Zelda game. That's outside of the CDI games. This will be the first time that Zelda, like, as herself, kind of stars in a game. Phantom Hourglass, I think it's Phantom Hourglass. It's either that or Spirit Track. Like, gets a little weird in that, like Zelda is there and she's like a protagonist, but she's a ghost and she possesses things, so it's like a little, it's weird. I also don't know how much of that where she was actually the protagonist, but yeah. And this is, because obviously, if you want to count the side games, then this would be like the third, because you've got Hyrule Warriors and Cadence of Hyrule. And I know I played through Cadence of Hyrule as Zelda, so for me that counts, but yeah, super excited for this. The art style is so good. It's super cute and charming and whimsical. I'm so excited to throw down all sorts of items to solve puzzles. Because I think that's where Zelda shines best. Like, I don't know if people want Zelda games to become like Elden Ring. For me, Zelda shines best when you're solving all sorts of like weird little puzzles and exploration type things. Not so you can just be like every other generic Dark Souls like game. I'm not a fan of Dark Souls, so I've let my bias show. Like, the most Souls like I can do is Monster Hunter, and like I love Monster Hunter, but like I love Monster Hunter because of the monsters. Like, specifically. So if it was like if instead of fighting monsters you were just fighting, armored knights or like undead and stuff, I think I would hate it. So yeah. So Zelda. Oh, I didn't write down the release date. I don't know if we have a release date. Hang on. I can't believe I didn't put this in there. September 26th on Nintendo Switch. There we go. Yeah, so this fall, this fall's going to be good. Next up, fighting fans. On Switch specifically, we'll be happy. The Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics. Again, we gotta work on the names. This is a collection of 7 games from the Marvel vs. Capcom / Marvel vs. Street Fighter series coming to Switch later this year. I'm not the biggest fighting game fan, but Marvel vs. Capcom was always such a wild thing to see in the arcade. It wasn't a mashup that you expected when it first came out. And it was really awesome to see. Of just Mega Man versus Wolverine. So yeah, this is cool. This is a cool collection. And I feel like a lot of fighting game fans like Marvel vs. Capcom. Just if not for the sheer, again, mashup culture behind it. So yeah, that is coming later this year to Nintendo Switch. Another big one. This is how the Direct opened with Mario and Luigi Brothership. I thought it was a Mario and Luigi remake of some kind where they just were gonna update a remake, update one of the DS games. And this is just a whole new entry into that series. So if you have not played any of the Mario and Luigi RPGs, they are great. They are awesome. If you played the Super Mario RPG, if you either played Super Mario RPG or the Super Mario RPG remake, and you liked the time to hit thing, the time to hit system, this series takes that and runs all the way with it. The whole combat is designed around these timed hits. But you keep going. So all of your abilities and items and stuff, they do an animation sequence that the better you are at, timing your button presses and everything and keeping it going, the better the effect is. And there's all sorts of transformation effects and platforming elements because it is a Mario game. And using both Mario and Luigi and guiding them, sort of Lost Viking style of separating them and using them to activate switches and stuff. And then regroup later. It's a great series. The trailer looked great. All the core gameplay features are there from the past games, which namely is the timed hit stuff and the platforming and everything. The art looks great, the art style. It was immediately recognizable to me that when those characters appeared, I was like, this is a Mario and Luigi RPG. So really happy about that. This is coming to Switch November 7th. So again, it's a good fall. It's been years since we've gotten a Mario and Luigi RPG game. No, this is not Paper Mario. So this is not in that vein. This was sort of Paper Mario was kind of doing its own thing on the main consoles, and then the Mario and Luigi RPG series was doing its own thing on handhelds. So I'm really happy to see this kind of make the jump to the big console. Not that it has a choice anymore, but. And our last bit of news this week, probably the big one. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. We have news. This is Nintendo's version of like Silk Song of everybody asking for it. The long-awaited Metroid Prime 4 that was first revealed in 2017 with the Switch is set to release in 2025. Like this may very well be the swan song of the Switch. Which it's kind of like what was it, Last Guardian for PS3, where it took like the development cycle took like the entire lifespan of that console. Excuse me. So it releases in 2025. There was a gameplay trailer, so we got to see some gameplay, which it's Metroid Prime. Like you're scanning space pirates. A lot of the stuff, it sounds like they are using the same engine that they did for the Metroid Prime remake, HD remake. But it's mostly that this has been the first update in years. So very exciting to see some progress on it. The fact that it's next year, since they're just saying 2025, I wonder if like it's possible it could release in the first half, but Nintendo is kind of hedging its bets a little bit to keep some wiggle room in there if they have to push it back to second half. But yeah, stoked. And you know what? If it turns out that they actually bang out some progress in the second half of this year, and it turns out that it's like, oh yeah, we're going to release this Q1 2025. Everybody loses their minds. I don't think that'll happen, but that'll be great. I think it would. I think it'll also be hilarious that we get Metroid Prime 4 before we get Silk Song. So that I'm sorry, Hollow Knight fans, but it's probably going to happen. We're going to get Metroid Prime 4 before Silk Song. So, all right, that is going to wrap things up for this week's episode. So if you're watching live, stick around for post show. But thank you all for listening. If you would like to see more content from 8-Bit Adventures, go check out the website, 8-bitadventures.com. Comics are still under construction a bit, so pardon the mess. But you can find the 8-Bit Adventures webcomic, podcasts, and artwork portfolio, all that stuff up there. If you'd like to help support that content, the best way to do so would to become a patron over at patreon.com/8bitadventures. Patrons get benefits for as little as $1 a month. And it is charged monthly, not by upload. So any content that I produce is covered under that single payment each month. Big shout out and thank you to all of the patrons for your continued support. Thank you for helping to keep the lights on. And finally, our opening theme is One Up by Professor Shy Guy. You can find his stuff over at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com. And with that, we are going to finish out this episode. So as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And as always, have fun, happy gaming, and enjoy your pie cake.